A document bomb exploded in Washington, D.C. today, shaking the entire nation. The Trump administration has finally released a new batch of the long-awaited Epstein files. But what's inside is unlike anything anyone expected. In 3 million pages of documents, there are allegations, photographs, and emails where the president's own name appears thousands of times. But what's truly shocking is that victims' names were left exposed, and officials are refusing to explain why another 2.5 million pages remain hidden. At a press conference held early this morning at the Justice Department, when Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche stepped up to the podium, the journalists in the room were already prepared. The questions came sharp and direct. Were special steps taken to protect President Trump? Blanche's answer seemed clear, but the tone wasn't convincing. We complied with the statute. We didn't protect President Trump. We didn't protect or not protect anybody. But what he said didn't really answer the question, because Trump's name doesn't just appear in the files. It's repeated thousands of times. On some pages, just as a name in emails Epstein sent, but on others, there are far more disturbing details. One FBI document contains an allegation dating back to 1994. The document shows that a woman who was 13 years old at the time accused Trump of rape. According to the allegation, Epstein was furious about this because Trump had taken the girl's virginity. The woman said she was later also abused by Epstein. This woman had filed lawsuits before, several times. She withdrew them all. The last one came just before the 2016 election. Trump has repeatedly denied these allegations. But in the documents released today, this isn't the only allegation. There's a list compiled by the FBI. The list contains sexual assault allegations made against Trump. Most come from unverified tips. The FBI doesn't explain why such a list was created, but there are more than a dozen allegations on the list. Within minutes, social media exploded, hashtags went trending, but no statement came from the White House. What had Trump said about these files before? This is a hoax. The Democrats started it. For years, the Democrats have been running this argument. Trump had said the files were fake, made up by Comey, by Obama, by Biden, but Christopher Wray was the FBI director Trump himself chose. Of course, Trump isn't the only one in the files. Elon Musk's name appears too, and this is interesting because last year, Musk claimed he had dropped a big bomb. He said Trump was in the Epstein files, that this was the real reason the files weren't being released. But what emerged today is this. Musk is also in the Epstein files. Emails show that Musk tried to coordinate several visits to Epstein's private island. In 2013, he wrote to Epstein, "When should we head to your island?" A year earlier, he asked, "What day would be the wildest party on your island?" But last year, Musk wrote in capital letters, "Epstein tried to get me to go to his island. I refused." Musk's representatives did not comment on these emails. Speaking of distancing and denials, there's another name. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. Last year in an interview, Lutnick recounted an encounter he had with Epstein in 2005. He saw a massage table in Epstein's Manhattan home. He asked Epstein, "Do you get a massage every day?" Epstein approached him, whispered in a strange way, "The right kind of massage." In that interview, Lutnick said he and his wife decided at that moment they would never be in the same room with Epstein again. But the documents released today tell a different story. After 2005, much later, in 2011, an email from Epstein's assistant, "Howard Lutnick will come see you at 5 p.m. That same year, the heading of an alarm message, "Drinks with Howard Lutnick." In 2015, Lutnick emailed Epstein's assistant. He invited Epstein to a Democratic fundraiser for Hillary Clinton that he was hosting. A spokesperson from the Commerce Department issued a statement to CNN. Secretary Lutnick had limited interactions with Mr. Epstein in the presence of his wife. He has never been accused of wrongdoing. But perhaps today's most visual shock involves Britain's former Prince Andrew. There are photographs that emerged in the files. Andrew is crouched over an unidentified woman, touching her. It's unknown where the photos were taken or when. Andrew's representatives did not comment. He had previously denied all accusations. There's another email exchange in the files, from 2010. This is long after Andrew's close friend Epstein was convicted of sexual offenses involving children. In the email, Andrew is suggested to meet a 26-year-old Russian woman in London. "You might enjoy having dinner with her," it says. Andrew responds, "I would be delighted to see her," and adds, "Will she be bringing a message from you? Hey, please give her my contact details." Epstein writes back, "She's 26, Russian, clever and beautiful. Yes, she has your email." One more name in the files. Peter Mandelson. Last year, he lost his job as British ambassador in Washington. After it became clear his friendship with Epstein was deeper than previously known, the new files show that Epstein sent £10,000 to Mandelson's then-partner, now husband, Reinaldo Avila da Silva, to cover the cost of an osteopathy course. Lord Mandelson described the friendship as a terrible mistake. He said he wasn't aware of Epstein's crimes. Todd Blanche said something else at the press conference. A journalist asked, is there a list of co-conspirators in the files? Are there names? Blanche's answer, there's a hunger for information, a thirst for information. But I don't think it will be satisfied by reviewing these documents. Then he added, if there were co-conspirators, we would be prosecuting them, babe. But one victim's attorney, Gloria Allred, thinks differently. In her statement today, she was furious. Some of my clients are completely devastated. The Justice Department said it would redact victims' names, but today, when more than 3 million files were released, the names of my clients who have been Jane Does for many years were left exposed. This devastated them. They had little trust in the government, now they have none, because the government hasn't earned that trust. Allred continued. Todd Blanche said at the press conference today that he hopes the release of the files will bring closure to the victims. This is ridiculous because they devastated so many survivors by publicly releasing their names. At best, this was a sloppy job. At worst, it smacks of a cover-up. One victim, Jess Michaels, spoke on television today. She says she was sexually assaulted by Epstein when she was 22 years old. She showed a document to the cameras, an FBI interview form. It's called a 302 document. 7 pages, 4 pages, completely redacted, completely black. Michaels asked, the victim's name is redacted, understood, but what are these? There's no victim name this long. So what's being hidden here? According to Michaels, these pages should contain victim statements. The part where they describe what happened to them, but they're completely black. Michaels asked, Todd Blanche stood at the podium and said, there are no names here, no treasure trove. Then why are there black pages? If there's nothing to hide, why is there redaction? According to the Justice Department, a total of 6 million documents were reviewed. 3 million were released today. Blanche explained, we collected everything for transparency, but not everything is relevant. That's why we're releasing more than 3 million pages, not 6 million. But the Epstein Files Transparency Act requires full disclosure, and the deadline passed more than a month ago. The Trump administration is blatantly violating a law signed by its own president. Democrats in Congress are furious. Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries spoke today. Democrats had to shame Republicans into voting. We passed legislation forcing the Justice Department to release the Epstein files. Pam Bondi and the Justice Department should be charged with criminal contempt right now because they're blatantly violating the federal law Trump signed. They have millions of documents. The public has only seen 13,000 pages. Is that compliance? No, this is a brazen violation of legal obligations. House Oversight Committee member Robert Garcia went even further. In an interview, he said, Republicans are forcing former President Clinton and former Secretary of State Clinton to testify about Epstein. I'm not against this. I support the Clintons answering questions about Jeffrey Epstein under oath. But this creates a precedent, and this precedent can be used, should be used, and probably will be used against Trump when he leaves office. Garcia continued, on January 20th, 2029 at 12:01 p.m., if there's a Democratic president and a Democratic Congress, there's nothing to prevent us from putting Donald Trump's ass in that same chair and forcing him to answer uncomfortable questions about Jeffrey Epstein, the Epstein files, January 6th, and his corruption. We will definitely have a lot of questions for Trump when he leaves the presidency. This isn't just a political move. This is a promise to people who have been waiting for justice. And because the names in the files seem to be protected by power and privilege, but the victims are left exposed, defenseless, their names out in the open. In the 3 million pages released today, there are more than 2,000 videos. There are 180,000 images. No one knows exactly what's in them because examining such a massive pile of documents will take days, weeks. But what's emerged so far is just scratching the surface. So where are the remaining 2.5 million pages? Why are they being hidden? Legal reasons, victim privacy, or protecting the powerful? Blanche's answer remained vague. He said irrelevant documents. He said legally confidential ones. But he didn't provide a complete explanation. Bipartisan lawmakers, the names who pushed for the release of the Epstein files, are now making a new demand. They want an in-person briefing to review the full files, because trust is gone. Yeah, not in the Justice Department, not in the White House, and not in the idea that this process is transparent. And what started in Washington this morning isn't just a document release. This raises questions about who's being protected, who's being sacrificed, who justice serves, and these questions will await answers in the coming days, weeks, maybe years, because Jeffrey Epstein is dead. But the files he left behind are still alive, and what's written in these files will continue to disturb some people, maybe it should,